Hi guys, I wanted to give a little update on Jackson. Um, Extensive notes. Trying to give a short rundown. He was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder a year ago. We started him in pre-kindergarten, which is like preschool, through public school. Last year he had tons of behavior problems. I requested an IEP. They gave him an assessment. He did not qualify for services. But they set up a behavior plan which included sticker charts and rainbow farts. That's what I call it. So just fluff to reinforce the good behavior. The beginning of this year, his teacher, she's awesome. She has been trying to implement the behavior plan, but it doesn't work most of the time with Jackson because in order to implement these positive reinforcements, you have to have his attention. So his biggest concerns, behaviors this year are hitting, pushing, kicking, pulling hair, biting, random times, some random students, some reoccurring. He also, during instruction, crawls under the table, generally does not listen, and he also doesn't participate. Now, I know this from the teacher, and my cousin is on the PTA board at this elementary school, and she also volunteers in his classroom, and she relays to me what she sees, which is very, very kind of her. Excuse me. So we had a meeting to discuss the behaviors. I wanted him to have a one-on-one aide, a support aide I guess it's called, and he is in the process of being assessed for that. I have heard it's nearly impossible to get a one-on-one aide. So I am not banking on that. They're going to do their assessment. I know they're going to tell me no. So whatever. So last Thursday, last Wednesday afternoon, I heard from my cousin that she went into the office and Jack was eating lunch by himself in the office. Now, we did come to the agreement at our last meeting before the assessment that I thought when Jack was having a particularly rough day or had had a behavior, he would eat lunch in the office. You know, the assistant principal's like, yeah, you know, he'll come into my office if I'm here, or, you know. So it was my understanding that it was when he was having a day with a lot of behaviors, he was having a rough day, and he would be with somebody. He has been there every single day for a month, eating lunch by himself in the corner of the office. And Jackson likes to talk. He's a very social boy. He's very, very sweet. His behaviors are usually not retaliatory. They're usually just random because he just doesn't seem to understand that hitting hurts other people. So, excuse me. So I heard that and I was upset. I cried. I've cried a lot this last week. So I called the school psychologist Thursday morning and I said I was not aware that Jackson was eating lunch by himself every day. I want him to eat at the lunch tables with the kids. So she said, okay, well, do you want me to talk to the teacher? I said, if you can, otherwise, I mean, I don't mind, but if she's not available, you'll see her before I will. So she said she'd talk to the teacher. I dropped Jack off. I was like, oh, just making sure that, Miss Hilser talked to you. And she said she tried, but I guess she was dealing with an issue, so she didn't get to talk to her. I said, okay, Jack is going to eat lunch at the lunch table. She said, nope, it's from the principal. I mean, she was very nice, but she said, I need permission from him. He wasn't available. I talked to the assistant principal, and she's like, oh, we thought you knew that. I said, no. I said, he can't eat by himself. And I was under the impression that he would be eating with somebody. So, had a little bit of a talk. I got a call a couple hours later that the assistant principal wanted to have a meeting with me that day at 1:30. I couldn't because I watch a friend of mine's son named Max, and 3 kids having a meeting, I can't concentrate. So I told her well, this is all through the secretary, that I couldn't make it. I could make it earlier or Friday morning. I never got a call that day. I got a call at, I don't even know, 8:15 on Friday morning from the assistant principal. Jack wasn't, staying in his seat during lunchtime. He's 4. Oh, he was. and he was, I guess, getting into other kids' food. Just, I mean, again, he doesn't know how to act. He didn't go to the lunch tables forever. So she's like, so I would like to propose that he go back to eating in the office until we have our meeting. I told her, well, that meeting is supposed to be 3 weeks from now. I said, no, there's no way that he's going to be eating. And I was very nice and professional. But, you know, no, it's not okay that he's eating lunch by himself in the office every day. I said, now, I'm willing to compromise. If you can push that meeting up to early next week, which would be early this week, let's say Tuesday, he can eat lunch in the office as long as he has somebody to talk to. Or if you can get it later next week, which would be, you know, this last week, or this week that we're in, you know, let's say Thursday or Friday. I will personally come every day with Emily, and I will eat lunch with him in the office, you know. But he's not going to go 3 weeks. So also come to find out, excuse me, at the end of last week that, well, Jack doesn't tattle. He's not a tattletale. He doesn't tell on people when they do something wrong. So, like, anybody who Jack hits or pushes, they always tell on him. Jack gets the same things done to him, and he never says anything. Not that that makes Jack's behavior okay. I'm never saying that hitting or pushing is okay. But found out that this boy in his class has been telling Jackson that if Jackson tells when he or another boy hits Jackson, that they won't be his friend anymore. So Jackson never tells on them. And it's the one boy he always has a reoccurring problem with. And I was just so upset at that. I told the assistant principal. At the time, I wasn't exactly sure, because Jackson scripts a lot, if that was really a boy from his class, or if it was something that maybe he heard from somebody. So I wanted to make sure that there was a boy in his class by that name. Find out from my cousin that Monday following morning, which was this past Monday, that yes, there is a boy, and that he's not very nice sometimes. So, the boy, not Jackson. So I ended up wanting to get an independent evaluation, meaning not at the school, done, because I don't feel that he's going to get services if he doesn't have an IEP, which is an individualized education program. So students who have special needs or learning disabilities or behavior issues, they can qualify for an IEP and get services to help them acclimate to a learning environment. It helps the student, it helps the teacher, it helps the other students. So we had a meeting yesterday morning. It was the assistant principal, the school psychologist, the teacher, myself, and the 504 coordinator for the school. At the end of last year, we were told that we were going to get a 504. We have not gotten it yet. Different story. Or a different part of the story. So, you know, the very first thing, because my husband's a teacher, my father's a teacher, I said, you know, one of the very first things, I just want to take a minute to say, you know, Mrs. Danks, who's Jackson's teacher, is amazing. She's so patient with him. She, you know, I get reports from my cousin who says that, you know, Jackson can, you know, push somebody, and then 5 minutes later he's on task, and she's saying, great job, way to go, Jackson. You know, so, and she's always on the positive reinforcement. Every morning she greets him, hey Jack, glad you're here, you know, so she tries really, really hard. But if Jackson's being disruptive and not listening, and she has 25 other 4-year-olds to take care of and to try to teach, I don't blame her. She can't always run after Jackson. Another thing that Jackson does is he runs out of the classroom at random times. So anyway, excuse me. So I said that at the meeting. They also had mentioned that cleanup time toward the end of the day is very hard for Jackson to transition from playing to cleanup time. And that's where a lot of the hitting and the pushing behaviors happen. So their solution to helping him with cleanup time is to send him on an errand to the office every day. Basically 2, 3, 4 minutes. Hey, do you guys need anything? Just a little something. Which, okay, that's fine in immediate short term, but how is that teaching him? How is that teaching him that he needs to clean up? The other kids are saying that he doesn't have to clean up. So I told them, how about you send him to the office it sounds like there might be some staff there. Is there anybody that can come to the classroom and help him transition? If they see him about to pick up a block and throw it, they could say, "Oh, Jackson, is that a good choice?" Or, you know, just redirect him, teach him hands-on. Because it seems like all of these, their solution to all of these issues is to put Jackson to the office so somebody can supervise him, like an aide would do. So anyway, and then, because I've been talking to my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has worked as an aide in various special education classes and tutoring and lots of stuff for the last 20 years or so. So she and I have been coming up with solutions together, talking about the situation, what's okay, what's not okay, how frustrating it is. So I said to this group of administrators in this the school meeting, I said, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that he has a medical diagnosis for autism and it means nothing. And like, you could see gears turning. They're like, "What?" I said, "What?" They said, "He has a medical diagnosis." The school last year did not inform this year's school in his file that Jackson has a medical diagnosis of autism. So that started everything over again. Meaning they immediately, right there, wanted to start a reassessment because things were, you could just see, it was like paparazzi light bulbs just going off in their heads. I could just see it. That now they can see there's a reason why these things are happening. So that was interesting, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know to mention it. I assumed." And they're like, "It's not your fault at all." The last school he was at did not document hardly anything except for his behavior plan and the original IEP assessment to see if he qualified for an IEP. They didn't document any of the times that Jackson, like, specifically had behaviors, how many of the notes I had to sign last year that when he had hurt another student, because in that program it was mandatory that I had to sign every time he hurt somebody, and there was a lot of forms, or a lot of times that I had to sign. So that kind of started everything over. I also started bringing my handy dandy notebook. I'm going to start bringing to all the meetings. So I have on here who said what about what. And I know that it's not going to hold up in a court of law or anything. At least I don't think so. But I will be able to say, "Oh, really, assistant principal, because I remember that you had mentioned this. Can you explain what you meant when you said it, if it was different?" And again, I'm always very nice. I'm very professional. But enough is enough. It's like I kind of feel bad for Jackson's new school. I kind of feel like they were just kind of, Jackson was thrust at them with no warning, no guidance, no help, no background, and they're just kind of scrambling to figure it out. It also is a little bit off-putting that all of their solutions are not learning solutions for Jackson. It makes it really, really easy for them and for the teacher, which I'm happy, because the teacher deserves help. Jackson can be a handful sometimes until he learns, and then he's pretty golden. Like at home, he's golden. He still has temper tantrums and stuff, but it's like way scaled down as opposed to last year. So I agree the teacher needs help, but Jackson's not going to learn anything if you just, every time he does something, send him into the office, send him to the office. Not that that's what the teacher does, but that's what the principal, the assistant principal, that's always their suggestion, send him into the office. Okay, well, that's great. Jackson also loves, my husband pointed this out, Jackson also loves one-on-one adult attention. He loves it. I think sometimes more than he likes playing with kids his own age. So my husband pointed out that if he starts going to the office all the time, every time he does something undesirable, he might start doing undesirable things just so he can go talk to his friends in the office. Anyway, so I wrote all of the things that we discussed. The school psychologist was leaving for another position. She's going to a different site, a different school. So she asked, because we have another meeting about the aid results, which again I'm 99.9% positive he's not going to get, on the 19th of this month, so about a week and a half. Oh, can I get you the paperwork to sign for the IEP assessment then. And I said, well, will it start today, the 90 days start today, or the 19th? So the 19th, I'm like, I want to sign the papers today, which probably made her job for the day a little harder, because I guess they have 15 days from when you request to have you sign the paper, but I'm like, I want it done. It's been a year. So I feel like that was a victory. Like, that was a victory. The school psychologist said that when she had done an observation on him the day prior, she had a 2-hour observation, he was exhibiting autistic behaviors, doing hand flapping, side-by-side play instead of playing with other children, kind of talking to himself and telling stories to himself as he's playing as opposed to playing with the other kids. So I also got a call from a gentleman at something called TASK. I think it's Teaching Amazing Special Kids or something. It's for special needs parents, so that you can get help with special education laws and school systems and stuff, and help you understand. And this is what I've been looking for like almost a year, just my rights, because I've Googled, I've called places. If you don't know the terminology, it does no good. Like, I've looked up the school districts and the state laws. I don't know what they mean. So finally I got somebody to call me back, and he was amazing. He told me exact wording. Like, I'm not supposed to ask for a one-on-one or a support aid, specifically behavior aid. And if they suggest a 504, it's not required that I be allowed to go to the meetings. I tell them I want to. I mean, he told me exactly what to ask for. If I want an independent evaluation that's not the school district, and I want them to pay for it, he told me exactly what I need to say, the verbiage. By the way, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they make parents jump through hoops like this. Like, if you don't know the verbiage, then your kid's screwed. Sucks. That sucks. And so I love that. He also said, request in writing from the director of special education that you want the results 5 days via mail or email before the meeting, the IEP meeting. Bring me those results. Forward me the results. Meet with me, and I will explain everything to you. I will answer any questions that you have about it, so you can go to the meeting prepared. So it's basically an advocate. I'm pretty sure he won't go to the meeting with me, but he will explain it to me before. Yay! I'm so excited. And then told me what to do in the event that they don't give him an IEP. And I'm feeling very uplifted after the meeting where the school wanted to reassess after knowing that they had a medical diagnosis. I went there, I signed the papers that day, I gave him a copy of his medical diagnosis that day. Like an hour later, I got a call from the advocate, I'm going to call him, because he was awesome, he explained everything. I'm feeling much more relieved than I have been in a long time. It's very frustrating when you know that your child needs help, and it just seems like roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. It's like, again, I've spent, I don't even know how many countless hours on the phone trying to get, again, advocates, services, just something, and either people didn't call me back or I didn't understand, so I am very, very, very excited. I feel like this is a good step forward. I am not deluding myself this time that they're going to make this IEP process of getting Jack help easy at all, because proven the history of both the school and the school district that I have dealt with, it's not going to be easy. They're not going to want to give him anything. So I know that I still have some battles to fight with that, but I am calling this week a victory, and I am one step closer to getting Jackson some help and helping him thrive in the classroom environment and life, really. So that is the latest Jackson update. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Again, I am just now, after, 9 months, a year, finding resources to help me make Jackson successful with his autism and school environment. So if you want to know any of the links or anything that I have found useful so far, go ahead and ask me down below, and I will shoot you a little personal message about those. Yeah. Or if you have your own story, feel free to leave them down below. while I'm not excited that other parents have to go through this process as well, it is nice to know that you're not alone when dealing with it. So, yeah, I will talk to you guys for my next traction update. Bye.